Not us like about to go like hand in hand with brand deals. I'd be like, how dare you say?
There's a service inside all of us, whether it's, I really think there is.
I mean, one day one of my clients could be like, hey, we can't use you anymore. And I've had
Mhm.
that happen. Woo! How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there, enjoying the
Yes.
Michigan sunshine, winter
Honestly, when the
sunshine,
sun is shining in Michigan, you have a better day, period. End of story.
period.
I was just in Mexico and I realized how much the sun's energy can be important to all of us.
Hmm.
And I need to take my vitamin D supplements, I think, before any seasonal depression or just, we'll call it like, I don't even want to give it depression as much as it's like that seasonal downness.
Yeah.
Like, it's not so much like fully there, but it's that constant, like, ugh, I'm tired.
Hmm.
I don't want to do anything.
Hmm.
um, but on today's episode, before we get into our main topic about setting up a business for yourself as a content creator and the different things that you can do, the different things that we have done, I had a little bit of an epiphany about something we talked about in a previous episode that I wanted to get
Mm.
your thoughts on.
Do tell.
So, we have talked about how you've heard people on Instagram specifically really talk about like the struggle of getting reach
Yeah.
nowadays.
Right.
And I've kind of shown how short form video about has obviously been a like great asset for me to have on and getting reach, followership, amazing engagement on Instagram. Instagram has, I would say, become my number one as of recent.
Hmm.
But I was thinking about like old Instagram versus where I think Instagram sits now, and to kind of educate people listening, I personally think that it's like old Instagram was about looking cool, kind of people like almost like watching a reality show. Why they like
Hmm.
it? It's like watching someone's life.
Aspirational content. Yeah.
Yeah, aspirational. So I feel like, yeah, thank you for adding that word. That's a perfect way to put it. And now it's people, I feel like I see posts where people just highlight their life
Hmm.
and people do not engage with it. They don't want it. And I noticed that obviously my videos are a bit more entertainment focused. So I think entertainment focused things do well. But then I thought about your content and how you offer amazing educational points. But in my head, I said, I wonder what could even get even more reach. And I was thinking it's almost like you have to be inspirational. And I
Yeah.
noticed with some of my videos, the ones that get the most bookmarks, shares, are inspirational.
Yeah.
And I feel like that adds in perfectly with what you just said of kind of the old way was being, let me show aspirational content. And I just
Yeah.
want to share that for people who might be getting stuck on engagement or reach. But I think the things that I've seen work super, super well, especially even for me, are especially inspirational. So it's not so much like educating people about Metro Detroit restaurants, it's showing them one cool one they can go to. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds pretty straightforward, but yeah, just curious your thoughts on it.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing truly that I like Instagram for nowadays. I mean, I would say it's keeping up with my friends, but because of the algorithm, I can't even do that. Like, I don't see my friends' posts, unless they
Yeah,
are
true.
also a
No, same.
huge creator. And even still, like, I don't see all of your posts, that's for sure, even.
Yeah.
Um, so I would say that. But so nowadays, what I go on Instagram for is to like look up art and like inspirational quotes and like typography and stuff like that,
Mhm.
which tracks to what you're saying. Like it's kind of like I'm like, "Oh, that's a nice poem or little quote that's going to get me through whatever season of life I'm in right now and save it or share it to my story." So,
Mhm.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think people are looking for inspiration and I know that themselves have said savable and shareable content. That is
Mhm.
what the algorithm wants. So, you know.
Thank you for your candor on that
Yeah.
little epiphany I had.
Can we talk about something that is not going well? Well, okay, it's going well, as in the
Mhm.
problem is resolved, but this is something that I think inspired the topic of the episode today, which is I just got an invoice cleared by a brand deal that I did it was like November, early November. It
The
just came in.
like you just finished the video in
No,
November.
no, no. Like, yeah, I finished the video in November. The planning, this contract signing, that all started in like June.
Right.
And it's now January, the end of January. It was due in, I think, early
Oh,
December.
no.
Like it just came through and I'm like, so I guess that's a good thing. It's a win, but I mean, it's like 2 months late, you
Right.
know?
Oh,
So
so it was late
yeah.
past their, like, net, because, for anyone who doesn't know, brand deals have kinda like this net payment period they
Yeah.
are supposed to agree on
Yeah. And so
contractually.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about like number one, we did a whole video, an episode about brand deals, and that
Mhm.
is, I think, one of the more known ways to earn money as a content creator.
Yeah.
But one, I want to talk about maybe why you shouldn't rely only on those, or maybe you feel differently, but I
Ye
feel passionately that you shouldn't.
You're like, "No."
And then talk about some of the ways that people can earn money outside of just brand deals. Because clearly, if that was
Mhm.
the only way I was paying my mortgage in December, I wouldn't have paid it.
Right. No, I think that's where brand deals can be a bit scary to fully rely on,
Mhm.
to kinda kickstart kind of the umbrella conversation of developing a real business income driving situation for yourself as a content creator. I think brand deals, I will say they surprised me, and I'm happy we're talking about this because, like you said, we have our previous episode talking about just that. I personally, though, think people need to reframe how they look at brand deals,
Mm.
in that you don't want to almost approach the brand from a this is going to be a one-off
Mhm.
and um it's a joy to even just get this one. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to just get this one. You need to have a little bit of that abundance mindset to where I want to ensure I get this brand deal every year if it's something
Mhm.
that could happen yearly. So you're going to be extra nice and extra professional with this agency if it's an agency reaching out, or maybe it's the client reaching out. I would say that's helped me to where last year, I would say, was the first year I made a good salary just off of brand deals. And to
Mhm.
be honest, for the back half of the year, I felt pretty secure that at the beginning of each quarter, I would probably get one or two brand deals coming through
Mhm.
that could end up, giving a good amount of money.
Yeah.
So, and it was some of them were people that have repeated brand deals for 3 years every year. Another one was one that repeated. Two of them were ones that I've done every year for the past 3 years. Three of them actually. So I'm starting to get some repetition here. And
Mhm.
I think that, especially in the beginning, brand deals don't feel secure. But if you start getting them yearly, and you can kind of rely on it a little bit more, like you can client-based business maybe a little bit, then I think there is some security in brand deals, which makes them, I think, really worth investing into. Not saying you said otherwise,
Mhm.
but just to kind of give my added context there about brand deals, because I can see myself doing really well just doing that.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that's something that I kind of go back and forth on sometimes because for probably the past 2 to 3 years, or when I could say brand deals alone made up like a good income for me if
Mhm.
I just did that. So it's like, what happens if I stopped doing all this other stuff and went even harder with brand deals?
Right.
Then I probably could be making the same amount that I make, maybe. But I think there is a ceiling for, there, because here's the thing, like brand deals, there are going to be just numbers involved in it, right?
Mhm.
Like for a creator of my size who puts out X amount of content, who serves a niche that's this many people, there is like a ceiling of how many brand deals I can take on, what rates I can charge, things like that.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I could make up my full income even if I went
Yeah.
all in on brand deals. But what I will say too is to support what you said, like long-term brand deals are what has made the past few years so significant for me.
Mhm.
I've been signing year-long or 6-month deals with people for my podcast specifically. Without that, it's always just like kind of one-off and like does feel very insecure. So, yeah, I definitely recommend that as well.
Did the yearly stuff, would you say you built up to it?
Mhm.
Just to make
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, like we would start with a video and then it was like, "Hey, let's do 2 videos." And then I
Yeah.
got brave and I said, "How about a year?"
Did you push that specifically?
Yeah.
See, that's a big thing too,
Mhm.
of you wanna like, just like a job, you
Mhm.
almost have to treat it like a job to where, "Hey, I wanna show interest," of like, "This is going really well. I love doing this for you guys. I like you guys a lot. We should we should take this relationship further."
Yeah, and in this specific situation, like, it's a product that I really had to have an answer on
Mhm,
because it's one that essentially I wanted exclusivity on. It didn't
okay.
make sense for me to recommend multiple different it's like if let's just pretend it's not this, but let's pretend, okay, I'm a video editor. I'm
Mhm,
not gonna like do an ad for a PC and then a Mac and then this and that. Like, no, you use one tool to edit
yeah,
your videos. So I was like, we got to make it official, like our because it's going to get weird if I'm going to start promoting a bunch of other tools. So,
yeah.
yeah.
No, that's the yeah, I wanna bring up something about how I view myself now, and I wonder if you have any similarities of I especially because last year I ended up doing a UGC content, which
Mhm.
for anyone listening, differentiator between UGC and like a brand deal collab is that with this UGC deal, I did not have to post it to my own pages. The brand purely wanted me to make a content piece for a good price that they would just put on their own channels. And they
Mhm.
didn't even have to tag me, although they did. And they almost came to me as like a Midwest content consultant,
Mhm.
I would say in a little bit of a way, because I'm known for making Michigan and Midwest content. And so they wanted me to feature their product, which is a product that anybody could use. It's, on the shelves at grocery stores and things like that. But they wanted me to kind of give my Midwest twist on it. And it really showed me, hey, maybe I'm more of a agency in a new sense of it that can help produce vertical video commercials on the hottest social media platforms for
Mhm.
companies that want to use it essentially in ads. Because I do notice I talk to other creators and they don't get asked to use their videos in ads as much. And I do notice that as well that the videos I make kind of have that. I think it's just because I've been in the ad industry for like 10 years. They kind of have that they look like a commercial a little bit
Mhm.
more than your typical influencer going to a store and promoting the store kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
UGC is like a whole thing
oh,
and,
yes, I
it's a
know it,
whole
and it also inspired me to be
Mhm.
like, "Hey, maybe I should,
Yeah.
invest in the UGC kinda side of things a little bit more," because I feel like you although get less money, that could maybe be another stable, almost brand deal-esque way of
Mhm.
producing content for people, and again, not having it to be tied to your accounts, which is honestly a blessing sometimes because after I made the video, I was like, "Wait, this is great." Although my videos tend to get great engagement, I didn't have to sit there worrying about how it would be perceived by my audience and all these other
Mhm.
things. I was just kind of this person this other brand was using. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was just wondering if you had, in a sense of almost building up brand deals, I think it gives me a lot of confidence to view myself as an agency versus just some influencer that they're working
Mhm.
with. Do you
Mhm.
feel like you have any of that with what you produce or not as
I
much?
think it's very different because I mean, I do. So I think, like, to skip ahead a little bit, for lack of
Yeah.
better words, like, I think that is uh, another thing that you can do is offer services outside of
Mhm.
just offer your audience. Because, yeah, that's what brand deals do is they offer exposure to your audience, access to your audience. But I think doing something like UGC or, like for me, I've produced courses for like brands like Rode and things like I don't consider that influencer work. I consider that, I guess to your point, like that's housed under my company, James and Park. Like that is
Mhm.
they're paying me for video production
Right.
because same, like, I mean, I was given a link if I wanted to share the course, but that wasn't the point of it. It was done for them. They wanted
Mhm.
somebody who was an expert, who knew how to work a camera, all of that stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I think creators can like there's a service inside all of us, whether it's I really think there is. I
Yeah,
mean,
there
whether
is.
it's UGC, whether it's consulting, whether it's I don't know, meal prep, meal planning, type, I think almost everybody can offer a service in addition to just their content if they want to diversify.
Yeah, I think there's a service inside all of us. I think it's a good quote to always hang on to because I think it's really empowering to make sure people know with whatever you're doing, you can probably find a way
Mhm.
to offer that to a different business. Kind of
Yeah.
like how I think I've referenced in past videos people who go to food places. You can then say, hey, let me come in, record something about your restaurant. On top of that, for an extra like 200 maybe, I'll sit down with you for an hour and we can really talk about your social media strategy and I can develop that for you. So it's
Mhm.
like it's somebody who maybe just makes food content, but then also offers essentially social media strategy consulting on top
Yeah.
of it. And that's really how I think people don't realize that that is how businesses grow, period.
Yeah.
I think there's a secret sauce to growth, and it's really not secret. It's very and that's the one thing I think over the past 6 years of running my own business, I've realized it's business is very matter of fact. There's no curtain, there's no situation. It's I'm going to reach out to this person, I'm going to offer them a service that can maybe make their business more money
Mhm.
or more reach on their social pages, and they'll pay me for it.
Yeah. Can we go back to something you said?
Hmm.
Because I just want to rag on brand deals for another minute longer, if I can. No, I'm very grateful for them, and I think they're such a powerful revenue stream. But I think there are a couple of reasons why I also think we should not just rely on them.
Yeah.
Um, Especially as like mid-sized creators like us, like
Mm.
not like celebrity macro level, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so you mentioned with UGC, you don't have to post it on your own page. And it's so funny. I'm having like deja vu because I just posted an episode of Freelance Friday interviewing one of my students who does UGC. And we were talking about this exact issue
Oh,
too,
fun.
about how like there's so many controversies nowadays. People are so much more aware of voting with their dollar and mindful of their impact in the world and all of that stuff. And like I know for instance Amazon, like I have an Amazon affiliate storefront, and a lot of people come at me when I post links from there. They're like,
Mm.
Latasha, I know you care about the world, I know this does not support your values, like making this billionaire richer and all of this stuff. And somebody commented on that in a video, not a sponsored video I did the other day, but I posted a vlog of me shopping at Whole Foods, and they said the same thing. And they're like, Whole Foods is owned by Amazon, and so
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you associate yourself with a brand consistently, and if it does maybe not align so well with where your ethics and values are, or if they get in some controversy, you hear
Yeah.
about brands doing stupid stuff all the time, like
Yeah.
I mean, Target, like with all of they just dropped all their DEI stuff and,
Right.
all of this stuff. I think what if Target was 90% of my revenue? Like,
True.
because I did brand deals with them, I don't think my audience would like that.
Right.
So that's something that is there to think about. And then I think the other issue is just like you're building another brand, not yours. And I noticed this in these past couple of years where my brand deals went really up. It's went down or kind of flatlined is my email signups,
Oh,
because
interesting.
if I have a brand deal, if I have a sponsor in the podcast or whatever, I give them that very valuable real estate of the
Yeah.
first link in the description box. What I used to put as the first link in the description box was my email sign up, my
Right.
freebie. And so there's a trade off with it. Yes, I'm getting paid upfront to put that brands there, but at what cost? Like are people
Right.
still wanting me or are they just going over and I'm just
Yeah.
driving traffic to somebody else?
No, those are amazing points. I feel like I similarly do feel like when I do a brand deal post, you do have to kind of give up the spotlight that you're used to
Mhm.
giving yourself, which can be hard. And why I think you don't want to do too many. Like I think
Yeah.
that there could be some situations where people are just doing way too many brand deal posts and not enough actual content,
Mhm.
because then you're just going to throw yourself off. It's not going to be long. You're not going to have longevity as much because eventually people are just going to be like, okay, this is probably just an ad. You never want that situation. I not not us like about to go like hand in hand with brand deals. I'd be like, how dare you say no? All your points are valid. I think to add to people okay, I'm just gonna be real because this is the Content Creator Confessions podcast. I think
Confess.
there are a lot of I think there are a lot of influencers out there who, and I think I've mentioned this, don't really understand how they've gotten the reach that they do. They don't
Mhm.
understand kind of like their path to becoming an influencer and getting reach and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I will say on the opposite side, I do understand how this all happened and I love it. And I nurture that all the time. On top of that, most people don't find themselves in too much of a niche with people specifically. You
Mhm.
have a niche, but the people that follow that niche vary greatly, I would
Mhm.
say. But they all have that common interest.
Yeah.
Um, versus for me doing super niche content and honestly, my content being entertainment and almost like funny focused, I think also helps a lot. So it's a little tricky because I would say that I'm a little bit of an isolated situation to where, like, I just completed a brand deal, which was approved with no edits needed. Okay, let's talk about the perks of that happening. Uh, and it's something that I feel like really resembles me as a person. It resembles my content. It is going to be posted in the next couple of weeks and I feel really good about it. Versus, I did do, and most of my brand deals end up being like that because I
Mhm.
think I have that super niche content. It's about Michigan. It's about something. I would say to apply to someone else, though, maybe it's somebody who does any kind of specific community funny content, or it's people that maybe just do yoga. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's like a, but again, I think that ties in with similar to you, where you have a similar interest, but there's a lot of different types of people.
Mm.
So I don't have all the answers, I will say, with that, but I think things do change when you have super niche and maybe more entertainment focused content with brand deals because you can be entertaining. The brand expects you to be entertaining versus you, to me, I mean, I love watching your videos and to me, they are so well done, but it's like you don't get to have as much fun, I guess,
Mm.
with the
Mhm.
product, would you say? Which I think um, isn't a bad thing, but sets you at a certain bar with people to
Yeah.
where they might be a little bit more critical.
Hmm.
There we go.
Interesting.
Just thinking out
Yeah.
loud.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's I don't know. I have many thoughts on that about the critical part. I think I feel like I think if you are making knowledge-based content for some reason, people think you're also supposed to be all-knowing about everything else
That just,
and,
yeah,
like,
we talked about that
perfect and
before.
pure.
Yeah,
And it's like, I and that's what I respond and the person who said it, I don't didn't consider it like a hate comment or anything. I
no,
was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good reminder."
yeah. So
But
it's
I
just
was just
commentary.
yeah, but I was just like, we're all doing the best we can. I'm not I don't I drive an electric car, okay? Like, but I also fly probably more than the average person. So,
Right.
it's like I'm not a perfect person. I do the best I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that there is kind of this like I don't know, need for morality if you're doing like
Right.
educational content that yeah, I somebody who's like messing around on TikTok being funny doesn't have that same expectation and I think there's a
Right.
lot of reasons for that. But yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. But let's talk about for those people who either don't want to do brand deals
Yeah.
or also the other big piece of this is who are not at the point that are able to yet. Because here's the
Mhm.
thing, we both have audiences and you need an audience to get brand deals. You don't need necessarily 200,000 YouTube subscribers or, 50,000 plus however many Instagram followers, but you do need a community. And
Right.
if you're just kind of starting out and maybe you're in that very, very micro tier, realistically, you're not gonna make a full-time income from brand deals. We've been in the game for how long? And like I said, maybe the past 3 years is where I could say brand deals
Yeah.
made up
I
a
think we
good
both agree
income.
that like the 100,000 follower marker, and followers are not everything, but it is a gauge of kind of like how far along you are.
Mhm,
And granted, you've like talked about how people with less than that obviously
mhm,
can have very powerful, successful full-time situations, and it depends on the platform. But if you're on like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube,
mhm.
I think around that 100K marker
Yeah,
tends to be a good signal of like, okay, maybe there's a full-time opportunity here.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So, what else can those folks do?
I mean, kind of getting on the fun side, just I'm excited to talk about it, is I ended up talking with somebody who I worked with in the past as a client for Dynamo, which is my digital marketing consulting. And they actually make merch
Mhm.
for concerts and things like that. So more like fast, merch things that people can hand out.
Yeah.
They said, hey, like, let us know if you ever curious about creating products in the future. And I think creating a product for the my audience would just be one of the most amazing things.
Yeah.
But I'm also big on I hate waste. I am
Yeah.
like it pains me to like create something that people would not use and
Mhm.
but that would be using materials from the world and go to waste. And so I kind of approached them and I'm excited because I'm should be getting a product kind of like how it's going to look
Mhm.
sample soon, but they want to create like a product. And I'm just excited about it because I think it actually could be something I approach it from something really specific, utility focused, has a good design. Like I'm putting a lot of effort just into one product
Yeah.
versus, throwing out like a bunch of different shirts and just seeing what sticks kind of deal.
Yeah.
So I think that honestly products could be something, and I know that you might think like, oh, this is something that only people who have a large following could get enough to sell for. But I really think that when it comes to products, if you have an audience that you know and it's something that's good, then I mean, and a product could be anything. It could be the course sales, it could be an actual apparel item, it could
Mhm.
be something. So I'm just
Yeah.
excited to start that journey a little bit and just test the waters a little bit there,
Yeah.
and see what happens because I think it could be a really good. I don't know.
Yeah.
It gets me thinking about maybe a store. Maybe that ties in with in-michigan.com, which is kind of like my new publication site. So I don't know. Yeah, it just gets me thinking about the other opportunities there might be for driving revenue and really building up my Michigan media empire, as I like to call it.
Yeah, for sure. I think physical products are so fun, and that's like I have done very, very janky, let's just say, for lack of better words, like merch runs and stuff just through like, there's print on demand services like
Yeah,
Spreadshirt or Teespring, like all those types of things. I've done some actually early in my YouTube. Before I really had a ton of
yeah,
brands knocking, I was like, I would get questions from people like, "Hey, I want to support you," or
yeah.
whatever. So I would just do like limited run. I certainly was not getting rich, especially from like a print on demand service. But
Mm,
there are so many things like I'm totally blanking at I see all of their faces, all these YouTubers, and I don't know any of their names. I think one of them is Asia Dang. She does like finance and planning content. I'm pretty
mm,
sure she has like a journal or a planner type of thing that got really big. That was a big thing, I think, a couple of
yeah.
years ago too. That I mean, these people made like millions of dollars from planners,
It
from a
gets
physical product.
right. And I'm sure that they tested the waters at some point with a
Mhm.
smaller group. Though one of the biggest one that can kind of, and I hate to say like super big influencers because I think it does kind of throw a little bit of like unattainableness in there, but I think this one's healthy. Emma Chamberlain, she does
Mhm.
Chamberlain Coffee.
Mm.
And she started really small with it because I've been following it for the whole time that it's been
Mhm.
going. She started very small. And I've
Mhm.
actually just saw somebody who has like 30,000 followers and they launch it's a male fitness guy and you're like or he's kind of like a model-esque energy, but he
Uh-huh.
just launched a lip plumper. That's it,
Oh.
one product that
Yeah,
he invested
makeup's
a lot of
huge too.
yeah, one product he invested a lot of time and energy into. And I could say the similar could go for physical products and like courses, like really
Mhm.
take everything you learned from a course or a booklet, maybe something
Mhm.
you already use.
Mhm.
Something that we kind of preach a lot here is dive into things that you already use a lot. This product that I'm going to be making in the past, similar to you, I've gone the drop ship kind of situation where
Mhm.
you design something and then someone else makes it and they ship it to the people. But for this, I specifically am like, oh my gosh, wait, I use this thing every single week.
Yeah.
I think other people do too.
Yeah.
Let me make something with that. So really, it all ends up tying back to that a little bit when it comes to creating anything physical
Mhm.
or for the sake of it, I'll call the course kind of physical because it is like something that is there.
Yeah. Well, I think there are 2 different kinds of products. There's physical products, which require, like, having a manufacturer or a
True.
drop shipper or something like that. I would say the very, very easy route that I've done is Amazon KDP. I do have it's called the Coaching Journal. It's like a
Mhm.
journal/planner slash planner for coaches. I really did it for fun. I kinda wanted to experience what it was like. I do not talk about it, I do not promote it, but if I really wanted to, I probably could scale that or do more, and that, I mean, virtually cost me $0. I mean, I did hire a designer to help me do the layouts, but I did a coloring book with my mom, and I
Mhm.
formatted that myself just using Canva and
Yeah.
then Amazon KDP, so that's literally free. It's free to have something, like that, so that's something that you could do. And then I think there's the digital products, which, yeah, like Ryan's talking about courses. Obviously, I have, well, maybe not obviously, because some of you probably don't know who I am, but I have many courses. Courses are make up like 40% of my revenue as a creator. So same thing is like you can start those for $0, really. I mean, most of the course platforms, the one I use is called Thinkific. And I'm pretty sure they still have a free starter plan where you can have like one course for free.
Yeah.
And you can do an ebook, you can do a PDF, like all that stuff. You just need Canva, really, or some type of a design program. So I that's what I always like say to people is have a service that you can offer, have a product, either physical or digital, and then have a brand that you want to work with either as a sponsor or as an affiliate or something like that. And like if you have all of those things that you can kind of cycle between, I think you'll be in a good place
Yeah.
financially. I think you'll have a good diversified revenue stream and then maybe you can try some of these other things that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I think yeah, diversifying your portfolio is always our hot topic, but I think that couldn't be truer for
Mhm.
really developing a business of like you're not gonna find I mean, you can find something, like I said, like last year, I would say make a good salary off of just brand deals, but I wanted more for that for myself. So I also kept up my business consulting services, which is more B2B stuff. And with both of those, I had one of the best years business wise that I've ever had. So
Mhm.
you can kind of, but let's say like last year let's say I was going through a lot, I could take one of those off, make my
Yeah.
year easier and still make a good decent salary to get by.
Yeah.
So I think that that's having that flexibility, although it can feel so tiring some days to have all these different kind of parts of your business going. I can say from experience better it's better mentally to have these different things to fall on, especially because
Mhm.
I mean, one day one of my clients could be like, "Hey, we can't use you anymore," and I've had
Mhm.
that happen, and it stinks. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw it firsthand. Like, my ex was in the gaming space,
mhm.
which was very fueled by the whole crypto NFT world. Like,
Oh,
all
I
of
didn't know that.
all of the sponsorships
Yeah.
were around that stuff. And then when the crypto crash happened, everything was gone,
Mhm.
so you have to be careful about even within your sponsorships, diversify your sponsorships,
Yep.
maybe don't only rely on tech sponsorships or beauty sponsorships or whatever, because what happens if that industry bursts, that bubble bursts, or whatever that
Mhm.
might be. So yeah, I mean, some of the other ways that people can try, I already talked about Amazon KDP. So I've done like workbooks and coloring books, but you can do book books. I have friends who do really well, are making full time incomes from self publishing books. Other things that are big for creators, I'm actually curious from your perspective, because you're more on Instagram than I am,
Mhm.
but YouTube has memberships. Instagram, I think, has memberships, right?
They do. They have like subscription content.
Subscriptions.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried anything like that or thought about it?
TikTok did that too, and
Mm,
I tried it when I was like earlier on, like in that first year I made 100,000 followers, but I don't think I was like super well established brand wise or
yeah.
just with my audience, period. And so I went to go launch it, but it was annoying because it was around, I want to say like $10. They set the price,
Mm,
but then I only got $2 of that somehow,
mm.
or it was like $3 of that. And I said, what's the point of this?
Yeah, to make
And then
money for
yeah,
TikTok?
and then the only benefit in app was that you could do like subscriber only live events and things like
Mhm.
that. And I don't, this is where I think the next part of our conversation can go a little bit
Yeah.
is subscription-based stuff is really I see it being successfully used all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, there is so many different apps out there for so many different things that people are subscribing to. I almost like don't feel I'm subscription worthy. But I
Mm.
do at the same time feel like people would want to support me so that I
Mhm.
can do even more content for them.
Mhm.
But it kind of ties back into actually, this is great that I brought it up in the very beginning about I feel like sometimes for my area, yours training education, I
Mhm.
totally understand where subscribers can go.
Yeah.
But for me, I want to make it work. I feel like though my content is inspirational and entertainment, not aspirational, so people don't
Yeah.
feel the need to subscribe as much versus somebody who's like a celebrity or is just on a reality television show. People would be more likely to subscribe because they could offer special content. But then again, maybe it's just I don't know special content to offer. And if I
Mhm.
did, then it could work. I don't know. Curious your thoughts if you think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to again, if you're talking about our size creator and smaller, I think you have to give value. Like I think
Right.
nobody is like just paying $10 a month just to watch Latasha like do her dishes,
Right.
like just have that voyeuristic like behind the scenes view. I mean,
I would
maybe yeah, I was gonna say only creepy people.
I'll give
Ryan's like
20.
me.
20 a month to see you wash dishes on a daily.
But but yeah, I think like if you're just kind of like the normal creator, like
Yeah.
whatever, like non-celebrity creator, yeah, you have to give value for it. For me, I've done memberships. I have a membership. It's called the Video Creator Collective, and we co-work every week. So I just did a co-working session. Every Monday, we get together and edit videos together.
Mm,
So that's value right there because it's accountability. I answer people's questions, we cheer each other on. And then I also do things like I give a content calendar every month. So content
mhm,
ideas people can do. There's a forum in there so people can like get, input and advice on their videos. There's courses in there. So there's value. Like people can say, all right, I'm going to sign up for $200 a year or whatever it is. I'll likely make at least $200 a year from being a part of this membership.
mhm.
Um, but I think if you're like in your case where I mean, I think there are things you could do. Like you could do like Michigan travel guides every month or
Right,
whatever that might be. But I think it's harder when it's not like a business or education or health product because
right,
people don't see that as a necessity. It's like, okay, that would be nice, but I don't need it.
right.
So in that case, I think what's nice is like some of the other services that exist are like Patreon. I had a Patreon early on when I first quit my day job. Again, because like my audience, there were a couple really loyal members who were just like, hey, like how can we support you, especially as you like transition into full-time entrepreneurship? And I'm like,
Mhm,
I do put all this content out for free. So if you want to contribute $5 a month because
right,
you want me to keep going, like why am I going to say no to you? So it's
right.
kind of like a tip jar essentially, like Patreon. There's another one called Kofi or Coffee. I don't know how you really say it, but
Mhm, I've seen that
um
one.
yeah, same vibe. I just started my Substack again. So that's another thing. Like you can turn on paid subscriptions for that if you want to. And I'm basically doing like what you mentioned with the TikTok thing. Like I'm doing exclusive posts just for Substack
Right.
subscribers. Um, but it's they are getting exclusive posts, but it's mostly just people wanting to support me. It's mostly
Mhm.
just like, hey, here's like a tip jar, so you keep writing and keep doing this.
Yeah, I feel like I guess too, like I'm like in my head, all your stuff that you're saying is so good, and I keep thinking to myself, like, am I feel like I am tip jar worthy, but it's hard because I like I give so much about something that's a specific topic that I'm like, is there anywhere else to give? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? In a way of I understand like the guide thing. That's something I actually right now I'm in the middle of it and it's a series I'm going to work on because I was going to do this as a product, but I said this is not the route I want to go
yeah,
and I'm just going to give this specific thing for free and it's going to tie in with my In-Michigan website. It's going to be a video series about essentially like if you're coming to Metro Detroit, you can go to this and you'll be able to figure out your whole trip kind of a
yeah, cool.
situation. So I'm working on that. Could I offer that just to subscribers only? Yes, but it also I think benefits me content wise because I know
Mhm.
those types of videos will get 50K view
Yeah.
plus. So I guess that's a good thing for people to think out is I think brand deals right now are my hot area that
Yeah.
I can make my revenue on. Let me fuel my content, which fuels people reaching out to me without me even having to reach out to them.
Yeah.
And I think last year, total wise, I ended up getting like 12
Yeah.
total brand deals, which is
Yeah, that's
pretty
good.
good.
So 1 a month, yeah.
Yeah, someone a month, right.
Yep.
So I think that, but you know what? If you ever think of anything that you think could work for me from a subscriber point of view, let me know
Well,
because
yeah, I mean,
I'm always thinking it out, and I feel like I hit a roadblock every
I
time.
I think you bring up a really good point though, and, like, this is something that I was going back and forth with last year too of, like, do I want to essentially have my business be dependent on my audience opening their wallet in some
Yeah,
way, one way or another, whether it's by buying a course or using an affiliate link or doing a Substack
yeah.
or subscription or whatever. Do I want it to be that, or would I rather take money, not take money, earn money?
Give me that.
Feel it. I'd rather earn money from these big, huge businesses. And I think that's a valid thing to think about. And I think like we talked about, it just depends on who your audience is too because I
Yeah.
think for you also, I don't know this, but I'm going to assume just because of the platforms you're on, you probably have a little bit of a younger age demographic than me.
Mhm.
And because it's entertainment content on average, not saying all,
Yeah.
obviously, but and so those are folks who overwhelmingly,
Yeah.
again, some do, don't want to offend anybody, but like they don't have like a ton of money. They're not just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Disposable
let me do
income is,
right.
yeah.
Whereas my audience is a little bit older, and again, they're consuming from a point of like, I am investing in my business. Even this time that I'm listening to this podcast is an investment in my business.
Yeah.
And so they're willing to spend a little bit of money if it's going to get them ahead in
Yeah.
their business. They don't look at it as like a luxury type of thing. So I think you just have to know your audience and then determine the
Right.
brand deal or the revenue fit from there. And I think yeah, it probably makes sense, especially because a lot of the brand deals that you do like are accessible products. Like
Mhm.
you talked about a food product and restaurants and things like that where like yeah, a 20-year-old kid
Yeah.
can go buy that food product easily. Can they buy $100 course? Maybe
Right.
not.
Yeah, you're spot on with the audience analysis of that I have going on.
Let's spill some tea. I'm gonna put
Mhm.
it on the spot because I didn't put it on the outline. But
Ooh, I like that.
do we wanna, like, set an intention or
Yeah.
set an intention or share something that you're working on? Like, either
Well,
what do you wanna do for how do you wanna make money this year? Put
I
it out there.
think oh, that's a good one to say. I feel like the product thing, I thought the reason why the product thing I think is actually something I'm very excited about is because, like I said, someone approached me about a certain product, and the way they made it, I think it's a great business idea, and I understand it completely what they were going for. But the way they went about making it, it was too easy.
Mm,
And I think this is a good lesson for people to always remember. I truly believe the best things do not come easy.
yeah,
I mean, they can sometimes if you're lucky, but for me to do this product, like this company approaching me and me giving some info and then be able to make a product really quick,
yeah,
I didn't like it. And
yeah,
so this other route where this person has been making merch for decades
yeah,
and I have my know-how about what things my audience might like. Us
mhm,
having 2 meetings so far about just the ideation of it,
mhm,
them making the sample, me having to pay for a sample, me getting the sample, me doing, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like these are
You want it to be
things that,
done right.
yes, I feel like I'm going about the process more correctly and not alone. I think that's a huge thing too to remember. I'm not doing this alone, and I'm getting help from someone who is also in the space.
Yeah,
Um, and I would say I'm really excited to see where that goes because they also know they've already like created and sold a couple businesses, so they know merchandising, the new way of retail as it stands in today's day and era. And it's not even like, oh, yeah, we're so good at like tricking people into buying things. It's just the way they've explained that they want to go about it to me
mhm,
sounds so much better than any way I've gone through it before, to where it's going to be a lot of fun.
yeah,
I think it's gonna be super valuable for people, and again, I've gone back and did a product about something I use literally, I would say, every few days.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, yeah, I'm just really excited about that, but other than that, I would love it this year if I, to put out into the ethos, got paid for doing more like an MC event,
Mhm.
like emceeing something.
That's
I
so
think
fun.
that, again, like, I think that I've thought in the past of like, oh, maybe I could do a course just because, again, I see it works so successfully for you or just other people in the game. I, always think, oh, okay, maybe I should try that for myself. But I think I really need to focus on really going my own path with this and
Yeah.
seeing how what I'm already doing and what I know I like to do
Mhm.
could go
Yeah.
into something like that.
One of my favorite brand deals ever was hosting like, part of it, I think I talked about it, was hosting a panel, and I'm like, "I wanna just host panels.
That'd
Can I
be
be a professional panel host?"
great.
Like, that's all I
Right.
wanna do.
Maybe, I mean, maybe in the future too, you and I will find something where we can do panels
Yeah,
about things like this, or
totally.
you never know.
For sure. Yeah.
What about for
Cool.
you?
Well, I talked about it in the last episode, I think, that I am hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm, uh, putting in the application tomorrow for my, studio space.
Woo
So,
woo.
that's gonna be something that, yeah, I think there's so many opportunities, like workshops we could
Mhm.
do, I could do, we could do. I'm just lumping Ryan in. I'm like, "Yeah." So that
No, yeah,
way,
I know what
yeah.
you're saying.
But, yeah, stuff like that, but also obviously the services and stuff like that. So that's, something that I wanna do. But another thing that is really exciting to me right now is the whole Substack thing. So
Mhm,
I had a Substack years ago when I was trying to write a book, and I shut it down because I got a vulnerability hangover, which is maybe another topic for another episode.
mhm.
But, I just had a free, like, you didn't have to pay to read the issues, episodes, whatever,
And
articles.
just for anyone listening, can you explain, like,
Yeah.
top level the Substack
Substack, it's a
situation?
newsletter platform, but it's really almost like a blog. The archive is available for everybody online. So you can go to, mine is words are hard .substack.com, and you can read all my public posts, you can read the archive, but then you also get them emailed to you if you sign up as a subscriber.
Oh,
So it's
nice.
like kind of like an old school blog. And yeah, I turned on the paid tier for mine just because I'm kind of trying to, this is probably again another topic we should talk about sometime, but I'm trying to use Instagram less just because I think a lot of the stuff that's going on at Meta right now is not, it's not my vibe.
Mhm,
And so I was like, I am going to essentially post what I would normally post on Instagram, just like my fun life updates behind a paywall for subscribers only, just to test it out and see what happens. And I posted once, I didn't even announce it widely. Like, I didn't announce it on YouTube. I didn't announce it to my big email list of like
mhm.
30,000 people. And already I got 3 paying subscribers. I made
Oh,
$150 in a day. And I was like, okay, like, I wasn't expecting that. Very
yeah,
grateful, by the way. And I know $150 is like nothing, but like, that's potential. And so
yeah.
I was doing the
It is.
math. I was
Great
like,
potential.
yeah, I'm like, I think it would be really cool if I could be making like $1,000 a month just from Substack,
Yeah,
which I would only need 200 monthly members, which is
okay.
only 0.1% of my YouTube audience. Like, I can do that.
I love it when you deduct things like you just did because
Mhm.
I feel like you've done that a lot in the past, and I think it really helps people understand where you're at, where you're coming
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's totally possible. You guys should check out A Thousand True Fans if you haven't. That book or essay, it's basically that concept of like, you don't need a lot. And
Yeah.
and again, $1,000, that's not like my whole income or anything, but that's like a good chunk of change.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities, and I think that's a good place to end with this one of I hope that what we talked about inspired everybody to think of other
Yeah.
ways that they could be building up their business,
Let us
and
know what you guys are either currently doing, what you wanna do, what
Mhm.
your goals are, because I really think there's a different mix for everybody.
Yeah, and I think it takes, like, people even commenting on this video or just really creating the community that we're trying to here to everyone pitch in kinda like what they're up to so that people can use that as an inspiration to maybe make something for themselves or, use similar platforms, what have you, and, but yeah, subscribe to this page if you liked this video and give us a review on Spotify and Apple Podcast or wherever you're listening. If you're, want to boost us up in the SEO algorithm of it all for content creator related searches and yeah, show us and just tell us exactly, what you're feeling about the episodes and if there's content you want to hear more about or what have you. Anything else from your end?
No, that's it. I wanna do a Q&A episode soon, so you guys ask us
Ooh, good
stuff.
idea. I like that idea.
Ask us
Yeah,
stuff.
I feel like you and I can talk really in depth even about a couple
I
questions.
know. Yeah, maybe we can
um,
post on, stories or something too.
yeah, that sounds good.
Alright, anyway, we gotta go.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.